Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Paul, back-to-back issues. And tonight I'm going to be discussing with my brother Sove, the Defenders. It's one of my favorite kind of Bronze Age titles, just kind of a crazy ass team. And actually, one of in my opinion, probably one of the most powerful teams, especially the early roster. But let's add my brother in here now, and we'll get this going here. Sove, what's up, brother?
Evening and happy Thursday, Paul.
Yes, sir. Speaking of that, to those who do, cheers.
Yes, yeah, actually today decided to break
Nice,
one
brother.
out.
What do you got there?
Got a Peroni.
Uh, going with the hard stuff tonight, I see, huh?
It's just Italian beer. I think it's just 5%.
Oh yeah, you know what? I have heard of that before. I never
It's just Heineken.
Yeah,
Heineken.
I used to be a big Heineken drinker, but I kind of got Heinekened out after a while. So I didn't really drink much of any beer for a while. Then I've kind of been a bit of a Stella fan. So
Yeah.
anyway, so tonight basically me and Sol we're just gonna break down the Defenders. Just I kind of love the Bronze Age. It's definitely like my kind of wheelhouse in collecting. I mean, I've kind of gone back and picked up a lot of Silver Age books, but truth be told, my first kind of all like the biggest books I wanted when I first started collecting and stuff, it was always like Bronze Age books. So
Yeah. Same
definitely.
when I was a kid, same. It was all these 90s books were very accessible, but some of these Bronze Age books just had this allure, and people talked about them, and you'd see them up on the wall, and you knew they were special. So,
and in the 90s, a lot of those characters they were kind of reinterpreting or reinventing were kind of calling back some Bronze Age characters. That's what kind of probably made me, at least in my case, made me kind of initially go back and I know there was a Defender series in the 90s.
Secret
Defenders. Well, yeah, there were Secret Defenders too, which actually is Roy Thomas, which is going to bring us to tonight's the origins, kind of beginnings of the Defenders, who was written by Roy Thomas. But let me quick get into this chat here. Let me see if we can do this. There we go. What's up, John? Good to see you, brother. Hope you had a good day. Of course, my Doctor Strange, my fellow Doctor Strange fan. What's up, Justin? Actually, I didn't pick up Strange 3 yesterday. I did not realize it came out, and I never made it to the shop. So I will definitely be picking that up so we can get caught up.
Here, I'll read it to you.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, and the new got the new Ghost Riders.
See, unfortunately, I just never had a chance to get to the shop yesterday.
I've been enjoying your show. These have been good.
Cool. What's going on, Leroy? Good to see you, brother.
How's it going?
We got Justin giving me an update. Yes, let's take both of these games. Take both games in this doubleheader. We could appreciate it. All right, where are we at here? Oh, hit the wrong one. Yo, what's up, Scheme? Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you popping in.
Good evening.
All right, let me see here. Sorry, guys, bear with me, man. It's been a little while since I'm a little rusty on the ones and twos here, but all right. So I think we all caught up. Appreciate everybody in the chat that's watching right now.
Definitely.
Yeah. So basically, we kind of been hashing this back and forth a little bit. We kind of both, like we basically were just saying, of kind of that same mindset and collecting tendencies. The Bronze Age stuff. So just some of the titles and series and characters we thought were pretty cool that we'd like to collect, and obviously Defenders was kind of one of those books that we both had like a kind of interest in. I mean, he's got a pretty Soul's got me beat on this. I mean, he's got a pretty extensive Defenders collection. I mean, I might have about 40 books out of the run, but yeah, he's got he's breaking out the half box, so I got to catch up.
Defenders was was one of those titles outside of my favorite Ghost Rider that I really wanted. It was high on the list of I'd really like to have the entire run. My driving factor was a bunch of cool characters. And I told myself actually in this room when I refinished this 3-season room, I said I'm gonna collect the rest of the Defenders, and when the room's done, I'm gonna sit in here and read all 152 issues. and I finished this room a little over a year ago. Still have not cracked into it until the other night when we got to talking. I said, it's time. It's time to start enjoying this series.
Especially early on, it's some great stuff. So
Yeah.
I usually do my slides. I kind of like to put those up when I'm kind of on the well, not that I have this extensive video library. The few videos I've done, I've kind of made slides, but me and Sova kind of going to swing it tonight. We're just going to show the actual, the kind of real deal book. So
we're going to do a
the kind of
style.
official beginning of the Defenders is in Submariner 34 and Submariner 35. Now, prior to this, there was like a 3-issue kind of crossover amongst Doctor Strange, the Hulk, and Submariner. But this is kind of the first kind of real time that they, they kind of link up and more or less fight a bad guy as a team. This issue, they actually throw down with the Avengers briefly. Yep. So this, I believe, is Roy Thomas and Sal Buscema. They seem to be kind of instrumental in the origins of the Defenders.
Absolutely, yeah. And I after having read it digitally, sadly, I hate to admit it, I will get
wrong with that.
Oh no, it's terrible. It's not the same.
I mean, it is nice to hold the book and smell that, that old pulp paper.
But I'm glad when we were discussing it and you said read 33 and 34 of Submariner. The oldest issue of Submariner I have is issue 50. So I'm a little off on that, but I would call it required reading if you want to get into Defenders. And it definitely lays the groundwork.
Yeah, no doubt. I would say that's a good. This is definitely a good starting point. I mean, it's a great issue anyway. But this, I mean, look at this line. I mean, this lineup on the cover. So this is kind of prior to Doctor Strange's involvement a little bit. But I mean, just Hulk, Submariner, and Silver Surfer. I mean, that's a 3-headed monster there. I don't think any team could put up 3 heavyweights like that.
And then with someone like Roy Thomas at the helm to steer that and guide you through that story, it was such classic Marvel storytelling, just top notch. I mean, it's Roy Thomas, but
he had such a hand on all the characters, and I mean, that's why he was Stan's right-hand man, basically. So and the art was cool. I mean, so those 2 issues kind of transition over into which was a new title at the time, #1 Marvel feature, which classic Neil Adams cover, but R.I.P. to Mr. Adams. So this is where kind of Doctor Strange gets involved, and to my knowledge, although Soul had just reread this, is Silver Surfer in this issue, or
Silver
Surfer on the cover? But
so Silver Surfer does not show up again until Defenders #2.
Okay, cool.
So we get. So
this is.
Yep. So it's Hulk, Namor, and Doctor Strange, and they do mention Silver Surfer, but that he's off and busy.
So he's otherwise occupied. So obviously the team is pretty formidable even without him. So in these issues here, I believe they take on, is it Yandroth? Is that who they fight in this first when they first come together, or is that Defenders 1? I thought the villain in this was like a demon called Yandroth. I guess I could open this up and check it out.
Yeah. So in that issue, it's Yandroth, and he's building a giant computer that's going to destroy the planet. And Doctor Strange. Spoiler alert. It's what was it, 1972?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, spoilers, people. I mean, the book's 50 years old, the storyline.
So he's going to devise this computer that's going to have his intelligence, and he winds up dying in his physical form, but he lives on through this computer that's going to destroy the planet upon his death. And Doctor Strange, gathers up he's looking for Silver Surfer, but they don't find him. He's busy, but he recruits Hulk and Submariner. They're going to help him stop this threat. And he winds up, again with the amazing Marvel storytelling. He stops the computer in like he freezes time
Mm.
for the computer. Uh, and then you would think, okay, so he froze time. All right, what's going to come of it? And they keep dropping Easter eggs each issue. They just remind you that we realize the computer's still there. And I thought that was great. They didn't just leave it alone. So I've yet to read it myself, but we're going to
Mm.
revisit that. And they don't leave it as an open plot thread. It's wonderful that you keep getting that little Easter egg.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, Roy Thomas, just in general, obviously one of the greatest writers in the history of comics. I mean, he had a good handle on it, but I feel like he had an affinity for Doctor Strange because he wrote the 169 to 183. I think he was mostly the primary writer on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wrote this, the Marvel feature issues. I'm not
Yep.
sure if he wrote any of the Bronze Age. I think it was Engelhardt and Brunner on the
Yeah.
beginning of that. But I know in the '90s he came back and he did the Doctor Strange series from the late '80s into the '90s. He wrote a long stretch of that, and
Yep.
he wrote the Secret Defenders, which was like a '90s version of the Defenders. So he definitely was, I think, a fan of Doctor Strange. So he
Yeah.
tried to use him when he could.
I feel like he really enjoyed the supernatural side of Marvel.
Yeah, no doubt.
He
And at this
really,
point in Marvel's history, early '70s, that's like exploding. Your
yeah.
Man, Ghost Rider. I mean, Werewolf by Night. I mean,
Uh,
it was just kind of like one kind of horror or supernatural character after
yeah.
another.
Yeah. No, he really he knew what he was doing, and he's definitely a titan of the industry. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah,
I'm surprised Ghost Rider wasn't on this team, to be honest. It's kind of got like a Ghost Rider. He ended up on the Champions a few years later, which seemed
he
like an
did.
odd fit, but he would have fit right in with the
Well,
Defenders.
the problem was August 1972. Ghost Rider didn't exist yet.
Yeah, this is
This
true.
was this.
This is
So
true.
this book, people like to talk about those true first appearances, and on the letters page, simultaneously when Marvel Spotlight 5 hit the newsstands, if I can get to the right page. I know
We
it's
got a Ghost Rider Easter egg or what?
so
Ah,
all
that's pretty
all
cool,
letters
man.
pages for August 1972 had this same letters page, but they were stating, also on stands this month, this new character, Ghost Rider. And so you got a simultaneous first appearance, if you will, all throughout August 1972. So Ghost Rider doesn't show up in Defenders, I believe.
I was gonna say, did he have any crossovers with them? I can't really picture.
Yeah. So he didn't show up till issue 96.
Oh wow.
And then he appears again as just Johnny Blaze after his powers have been removed and trapped in the Soul Crystal. He doesn't show up again.
Also,
Like
that book came out after Ghost Rider '81.
This issue, no. This issue,
Oh, okay.
he's still Ghost Rider. Later on, there's a cover of a guy on a motorcycle, just kind of like shooting down, and I think Angel is up in the air, and it's just Johnny Blaze and Roxanne Simpson. He's no longer Ghost Rider at that point.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, as Sov was just showing you, so after the kind of 3-issue, I guess, tryout or preview in the Marvel feature 1 to 3, so that was number 1. Kind of showed off before. I guess I might as well kind of give it a little better. So this is number 2, which is hot off the press because I just got it in the mail today.
That's a great.
And, yeah, the covers are. So these 3 issues are drawn by Ross Andrew, who I know as a big Spider-Man fan when I was a kid. All the Bronze Age Spideys that I liked, like First Punisher, all that kind of issues, those are all drawn by Ross Andrew. So I was familiar with his art and his style, because he's kind of got like a unique style a little bit.
Yeah.
So these issues were drawn by him. I'm not quite sure on that. Who was this? Sal Buscema?
Yes, this is so issue 1 is Sal Buscema. Steve Englehart and Sal Buscema take over duties.
Cool.
And
yeah, so these 3 issues, they were drawn by Ross Andrew. They're actually inked by Sal Buscema. So it's kind of there was like a connection with the art style. It's cool.
Yeah.
But so this issue just to trip me out though, because this is I'm not sure how you Zemnu the Titan, who
that's how I pronounce it. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, Zimu. Yeah, it's a little tricky. But the thing I always thought was cool about him is he's actually in the so Marvel was kind of known in the early '60s for their pre-hero prototype stories. So in
Hmm.
Journey into Mystery '62, there's a character who looks just like him, except he's brown, and he's called the Hulk.
Yep.
Jesus, why do we got these guys again? Sorry
Oh,
about that. I mean, really, with my like 50 subs or whatever, am I worthy to be hacked like this? I don't understand. Sorry about this, people. Just trying to get this guy out of here.
Got to make a wrench
All
out
right.
of one.
Yeah, I have some. I thought maybe I didn't. If I did, I apologize, people. Um, but yeah, so this is that character. They brought him back. Excuse me. Obviously, they had to change his name. They could no longer call him the Hulk, and they changed him to White, which is kind of cool. Although he kind of reminds me of the Wendigo, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
So
so after those three kind of preview little tryout series, then they get their own solo book, which Soul had there. So and like you said, Silver Surfer doesn't show up till the second issue.
yeah, so they do hint on the very last page. I had thought this mystery. I thought this mystery at its end, but I see it just begins. Now, to fully explain this enigma, the defenders must search for the Silver Surfer.
Cool. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have 2 or 3. I'm guessing that probably. There they go, right there. So, not having read all these kind of early single-digit issues, kind of consecutively like that, was like the continuity pretty much like each issue connected to the next. It sounds like issue 1 kind of leads into issue 2.
Yes, so they literally, actually, I think it's in issue 3. They make a comment. I believe
Like
you have missed
throwing down outside. Sorry about that.
So right at the beginning of issue 3, they make the comment, you have missed nothing since the conclusion of last issue when the defenders and Silver Surfer overcame Kalazuma and his warrior wizards. Only a few moments have passed. So issue 3 is a true just continuation of issue 2. So
Cool.
they the story does progress, and it's nice because it's one long story.
Because I know, like, so issue 4 is, I mean, this is kind of, I guess, whatever, quote, in the terminology of today's collectors, a key issue or whatever, because it's the first time, I guess it's, Valkyrie's kind of complicated. So I don't want to say it's the first Valkyrie, because I believe she had appeared in.
Yeah.
I know Avengers 83 is like her first appearance, but then they say that was Enchantress kind of dressed as a Valkyrie. It wasn't Brunhilde. Is that
Brunhilde? Yeah.
So
Brunhilde or
I think
Brunhilde.
this is her first appearance as a Valkyrie in the series or in this book. So,
okay.
But I mean, it is a cool cover. I mean, the Sal Buscema in these early issues was great.
Yeah. So
and so she basically joins the Defenders at that point, which is kind of trippy because now I'm looking at So do you have any of the? Because basically the latter half of like the single digits, like 7, 8, 9. Oh, Jesus Christ! Sorry, people. They all have the. They start to lead into the quote unquote Avengers Defenders war. So.
Looks like.
I know number 9 is like a white cover. It's got like Hawkeye. It's got Iron Man and maybe Hawkeye throwing down. I know the only issue I have I have number 10, which is again another Thor. It's like a Thor Hulk cover, and what's weird is the little bubbles on the side that show the team. It actually has Hawkeye on it, so I don't know if Hawkeye was briefly a member or something.
So it looks like in issue was this issue 6, Silver Surfer shows back up.
Nice.
Issue 7 looks like Hawkeye makes an appearance. And they're fighting a Tuma.
Yeah, yep. Oh yeah, Tuma, definitely a classic Submariner villain. So it would make sense that he would show up.
Yeah. So it looks like Hawkeye tonight. It looks like Hawkeye is just filling in for the Hulk. And then in issue 9, I guess issue 9 would be maybe where some of the
Oh,
Avengers.
that's the cover I was thinking of. Yeah, Iron Man's kind of punching down on Hawkeye. So
Yeah,
it is. I wonder. So I mean, it appears as like Hawkeye was kind of briefly. I mean, sorry if some of these issues I've had and I've read many years ago. I didn't really get that to refresh on every single storyline and issue. So I do
yeah,
have a rough knowledge of some of these stories and creative teams and stuff. But as far as the kind of intricate fine details, I'm probably a little. I may be off. So
yeah,
either way, that's probably better for you. So you can just dive into these books and read them without kind of any preconceived notions. But
yeah.
overall, these issues, because it crosses over, it's like Avengers 116, 117, and 118, I think, and it's Defenders like 8, 9, and 10. But like I said,
Okay.
this is kind of the like classic issue. I mean, it is a great cover. It looks like
Yeah,
I almost want to say Ramita from the looks of it, but it's a great cover with Hulk and Thor throwing down. So I mean, that's
yeah,
always two heavy hitters.
yeah. So I mean,
But like we mentioned briefly one time, we were talking about this though. I mean, the Defenders, I would say, definitely a far more powerful team than the Avengers, especially at this point,
yeah, yeah.
because the
I mean,
Avengers kind
just
of had a weird lineup.
so from what I've read so far, just with the core four, um, it's there. I mean, you've got some of Marvel's biggest guys, most powerful, and that's what I really enjoyed so far is you've got different characters that bring their own strengths to the team to achieve what needs to be achieved. Um, Namor has his wits about him, and he's very street smart. Doctor
Mm.
Strange brings the magical element. Uh, the Hulk brings
Hulk's
the
just
brute
because
force.
the brute strength. I mean,
Uh,
and Silver Surfer is just like a cosmic level powerhouse. I mean,
yeah,
it's
and
he's
he
not
he
really too many people in the whole galaxy universe that can kind of really kind of fuck with Silver Surfer, to be honest.
and I do actually. There was one panel I wanted to point out. I believe it was in issue 3. Now I'm not as familiar with Namor, excuse me, as I'd like to be. I did know that he likes or he needs to get his power through water. He needs to basically take a swim every once in a while.
Hmm.
But I thought this was hysterical that he can also use snow. And the defenders sat and waited around while he went and made basically made a snow angel with himself.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he there you see him over there in that third panel just rolling around in the snow,
Hmm.
repowering himself. So I little
I
silly,
know I can
but
notice that.
but
Yeah, no, I mean they definitely kind of had like a weird kind of vibe a little bit. I mean, Submariner, he's so Scheme thought of the Defenders as like the B team. I could see that, but I guess in retrospect, I'm just kind of like if you lined them up, I mean, they definitely got like a powerhouse team. But I mean, yeah, the Avengers were definitely like the kind of I guess the preeminent team. The Champions and Invaders were definitely on the C or D level. I mean, I
yeah.
actually like those titles, but I would say in the grand scheme of the Marvel universe, they were definitely not really the top hitters. But um,
So I
basically,
feel like
so kind of broke down. Though I mean, there's some heavy hitters on the Defenders, though.
it gave an opportunity to write characters into team environments that weren't they
Yeah,
weren't really team type titles or team type characters.
exactly. They're all very individual. Like Hulk doesn't play nice with others.
Yeah,
Submariner traditionally is not the type of character. Hey, what's up, Daryl? Um, Submariner's not. Oh Jesus, that is not what I meant to do. Sorry about that. Can't get rid of these people fast enough. Um, yeah, like they're not really like like I said, Hulk doesn't play nice with others. Submariner is definitely
yeah,
Submariner definitely was a more individual. I mean, he basically hated most surface dwellers, at least
yeah,
different iterations of him been like that.
yeah.
Doctor Strange kind of doesn't really. He's kind of in his own world, quote unquote.
And it's nice
So
to
and
see him
Silver
in
Surfer
positive.
obviously is like a classic loner. I mean, he's kind of been that way since he was stranded on Earth, after the
Yeah,
original Galactus trilogy. So no, it's true. They are all kind of individuals thrown together.
yeah. It's I'm enjoying watching this develop. Actually, starting from the beginning and seeing it through versus picking up random issues and enjoying them for what they are, but not having a full context. Um, it seems like Defenders is always just a team of people to tackle the problem at hand. People come together to do what needs to be done. Uh, so
Yeah,
it's
they kind of had an interesting kind of roster and rotation. I mean, like you said, the core four are more likely. It seemed like it was usually core three at least.
yeah,
Because I feel like Silver Surfer wasn't really like he was kind of hit or miss. He wasn't really like a consistent member of the team. As far as like even like so this is issue 15, which is kind of a favorite of mine because it's got the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. But so at this point they were I don't know if he's official member yet, but they have Nighthawk. But it still
yep,
has just the three little bubbles in the corner of Hulk, Doctor Strange,
yeah.
Submariner. So that was kind of definitely.
So,
And this is still being written. This is written by Len Wein and still has Sal
okay,
Buscema art. So look at that splash
okay.
panel.
Yeah. So I know
Pretty
Nighthawk
awesome.
was a long time. He had a long tenure on the Defenders. I know he was involved for many years. Uh, I don't know. No, I don't know if that's before or after Squadron Supreme. I'm assuming maybe.
This is fairly. This is definitely afterwards. So I would say this is a few because this. Let's see. So this is issue 15, which I think is one of the first issues. Well, he was in 14 as well, but this is from September of '74. I
Okay.
think the Squadron Supreme probably came out in the like 70 or 71. So yeah, he'd been out for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was like a kind of character that showed up in a bunch of books. I mean, I think I have a Daredevil issue that has him, but it
Yeah.
might even be his Squadron Sinister version of him. It might
Okay.
not be the superhero kind of version.
Yeah.
But this cover always tripped me out as a kid. Got the big
Yeah.
head. But it's pretty cool. It's like the scale with Hulk and Blob on it, which I thought
Yeah.
was pretty trippy. But
Yeah.
what's cool about this issue is this storyline actually ends because it ties into my obviously I'm a big X-Men fan. Most people who follow me know that. But this issue ends up with the Brotherhood. They're all turned to children, but specifically Magneto. So in the Bronze Age, when during the Claremont and Byrne run, no, actually it's before Byrne. I think it's the Claremont and Cochran, maybe 102 or 103 and 104. Anyway, Magneto has been restored to an adult, and he's pissed that the X-Men kind of. I think they left him as a child on with Moira McTaggart to kind of take care of him as a kid. So once he's kind of fully restored, he's pretty pissed about that all that happened to him. So he really comes at the X-Men pretty hard. So it's pretty cool.
And that's
So
it's. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was reading what Daryl said. So he's basically like Surfer on the team is like Phoenix on the X-Men. I mean, who could beat a team with that Powerhouse on there,
Yeah.
which is pretty much 100%.
Yeah.
That's
that's one thing I always loved and appreciated about Marvel was and hashtag bring back the bullpen. Continuity
here for that.
it really mattered. Like I was talking about the computer, and they keep dropping these hints, reminding you, like, no, we didn't lose that plot line. They go out of their way to tell you that this takes place right after the last issue. Even when they mention Silver Surfer earlier on in Marvel Feature, they make it a point to say that no, he's busy doing something else. The fact that they took the care to make sure each character was busy doing what they were doing and had the space to be able to either be on the team or not be on the team.
That's definitely one of my favorite parts. One of the things I love most about Marvel from this era, the continuity was tight. I mean, like you said, if a character wasn't available or something was going on, they would make it a point of like, catch up this issue. This is what's happening. Nigel, what's good, brother? I've been meaning to call you, man. I got you tomorrow, bro. Hope everything's going good, man.
And on the
appreciate you stopping in.
On the direction you're going,
yes.
17.
Speak now. That just seems like a mismatch to me. I know the Wrecker is I know the Wrecking Crew is kind of heavy hitters, but I feel like if Surfer showed up, I don't know if he's actually in that little 3-issue story, but
yeah, where is
let me see here. So I don't see him on. So this is 17. Was it 18 and 19?
last page, right? Yeah, there. There's the Wrecking Crew.
Yep.
One of I always enjoy books when the Wrecking Crew shows up, because they can show up in anybody's book. They can always present a problem, whether it's a low level or high level character.
Definitely.
They always make for a great story. So as far as first appearances, this is a book I'm happy to have a first appearance of the Wrecking Crew, just because I enjoy that team up. They're so silly and goofy in their own way.
They are, but they're cool. I mean, they're cool visual. Their powers are cool. Like they are kind of all heavy hitters for the most part. I mean, in the Wrecker's first appearance, Thor 148. I mean, he basically beats Thor to death, more or less. I mean, which is why in Thor 150, Hela shows up. She basically tries to show up to claim kind of claim Thor's soul or whatever, because he's so near death because the Wrecker kicked the shit out of him. So I mean, the Wrecker is definitely a powerhouse. And I don't see him. I don't think he's in these issues. I know he is a member, so to speak, of the Wrecking Crew, but I don't think Absorbing Man's in these issues. But excuse me, if you add him to the mix, I mean, the Wrecking Crew is definitely powerful.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that. I've always felt Absorbing Man is one of those characters somebody whoopsie daisied and didn't realize this guy's just a little too powerful. If
exactly,
it's very easy for him to make a win.
Yeah, because some writers have kind of interpreted his powers in a lot of different ways. So I mean, usually it's like he touches something metal, he becomes metal. But excuse me, I remember reading a story somewhere where I don't know, he touched something like powerful, like electrical or something. He became like electricity or power. So he, I guess depending how you kind of interpret his power, I mean, he's almost like, he could almost have like unlimited power.
So the last book I saw Absorbing Man in, they destroyed a teleporting machine. So Absorbing Man went up to the teleporting machine and touched it and became the teleporting machine.
Wow.
So he went past just touching metal and becoming
he's definitely kind of graduated from his earlier kind of just I'm gonna turn in this like metal and fight Thor or fight Hulk. He's had some great battles. I mean, he's definitely a cool villain. He's a cool visual with the he's got the Hamburglar pants on from JO. I mean, he's kind of got a cool look, but the big bald head. He was kind of jacked.
Yeah,
definitely cool. I mean, it does seem like he's kind of would be outgunned trying to throw down with Thor, but again, so did the Wrecker, and we kind of seen how that turned out. So these guys, some of these villains, they all those ones that kind of were like imbued with like Asgardian power, kind of like Crusher Creel or I can't think of the hey, what's up, Professor? I can't think of Dirk Gothwaite, maybe. I can't think of the Wrecker's real name, but anyway, he's
I think isn't it weird? It's like Graithwaite. I think it's
probably
I think it's like Dirk Graithwaite.
I just always thought his name. It didn't sound like this Brooklyn thief or something. It kind of just had like a weird name, but it sounded like a little too preppy, that name. But I guess maybe that's what they rolled with back then. So they have there's a 3-issue 17, 18, and 19 are basically the Defenders kind of thrown down with the newly formed Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
So after that, I know there's a few kind of just various issues here. I don't know what from the early 20s. I can't really think of anything that kind of resonates with me. I know like in the mid 20s, like 26 has the Guardians in the Galaxy, I think, in it. 26 and 27, the original Guardians. And then I know in 28 is the first Starhawk, I guess. Yeah, that's right. I mean, because I remember that issue kind of blew up a few years back when they started showing up in the movies, even though it's not even that team, so
It's
it doesn't even
amazing.
make sense. But so do you have 28? I've been looking for a decent 28. The Starhawk. It's a cool cover. There you go. You know where I almost bought one actually. I'm sure you've been to the shop. I know you have. Wonderland Comics in Putnam. They have one on the wall,
Yes.
but it's just a little too
Yeah. There's
not quite crispy enough, you know. But I do
that
want to pick up.
that's so that's something I've been toying with is going back and replacing some of these issues.
Mhm.
I early on I just collected. I just wanted a decent copy. But
Yeah,
going back, I look at some every copy I have I can hold and I can read and I'm happy to. But there's a couple I've looked at where, could
it's a little
withstand
scary.
a better copy. But for reading purposes, I'm happy with what I got, and I'm so looking forward to just pounding through this whole thing.
Mm. I mean, I guess in the relative scheme of things, it's kind of a shorter run.
Yeah,
Yeah, Professor, we kind of mentioned those off the top, the Submariner 34 and 35. They're kind
yeah.
of definitely the kind of the genesis of where the Defenders started. So definitely had to mention those guys. But so at this point, I mean that I think the team started to change a little bit, right? I'm not quite sure who was even. I don't know if Hulk was even still on the team at that point. No worries, Professor. I appreciate you stopping in, man. Um, I felt like the roster started to get a little bit in flux at that point.
No, we still got by issue 29, we still got the Hulk.
Yeah, you need to straighten him out in that scheme. It's 27, not 28. You're right. You're right on that.
So it looks like issue 30. Issue
30's got
30.
like a
It looks like we've got a newly formed team with Valkyrie, Doctor Strange, Nighthawk,
Nighthawk.
and Hulk.
No more Submariner, I guess. He was done by
Yeah,
then. He didn't want to play nice anymore.
probably finally got mad. There's too many humans on your team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's Submariner's tricky, right? Because I mean, the way they kind of characterize him most of the time, like we were kind of talking earlier. I mean, he's definitely like a solo guy. He don't want to play on any
Yeah,
teams or play nice. He generally despises most surface dwellers, I guess he would call them. So,
yeah. So
um,
as far as let's talking about that dynamic, having read New Avengers Illuminati, which that book, where I lost my thought there for a second. That book leading to World War Hulk, for first Planet Hulk and then World War Hulk. I'm a little disgusted with Doctor Strange and Submariner for having been on the Illuminati and having been Hulk's friend and Hulk calling them friend. He gets mad at Doctor Strange a little more often, but is willing to calm down and listen to him. But he flat out calls Namor, I like Fishman friend. He makes it a point
so
to say
Michelle.
that. Even he makes it a point to say that this is his friend. He believes in him. He trusts him. And to have later on, all these years later, I understand in Illuminati the plan was to shoot him off to this isolated planet where there was nothing but deer and bunny.
Yeah, he kind of destroyed that himself. So, but still, your point, I kind of get. Like, he thought he thought, which is probably why he was so hurt when he came back. In addition to his woman being killed, basically. But
Yeah,
that like these people, Doctor Strange specifically was like former teammate of him. He should have been, should have kind of been cool with him.
yeah. I
Doctor
feel like
Strange also threw Hulk into the intimate. Yeah, that's true too. That's true. So I guess Strange has a history of stabbing Hulk in the back. I guess.
I do enjoy Doctor Strange. I think he's a great character, but he
Yeah,
does.
no, I'm definitely a big fan of Strange, and I feel like he's he is one of those guys, though, right? It is kind of odd. He's so focused and he has so much kind of on his plate that, like, can he even really be like a good teammate, a good member of a team? He has so much kind of going on and so much responsibilities that it kind of makes sense that he would be, at the end of the day, like he's cool. We're on the same team, but I don't trust you that much. Like
So I mean, for my favorite character, he saved he saved Danny Ketch's life twice. He led the team. Uh, he coached the Midnight Suns into defeating Lilith and Zarathos. So that was what led me into the Defenders was Doctor Strange.
Man, we got to talk about that crossover at some point. You got to help me out with that one. That was a big crossover, and I kind of like it. Was it like 18 parts or 20 parts or something? I mean, it was like insane.
The first one's great. The second one, not so much. The second one was clearly.
I just know the first one was like, because I remember I was getting Doctor Strange at the time. I think it's like around issue 60 or 61. And
yep.
I remember like one issue was like part 5. The next issue I picked up was like part 13 or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like there was a lot. There was a lot in that series.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Daryl said, I mean, Hulk was not mindless at the time. So I mean, ultimately, I guess Strange was trying to do the right thing. But as far as the Illuminati thing, it doesn't seem like Strange would even be in a crew like that, to be honest. I agree with you on that. Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't seem like he would even be down with something like that.
No.
But, some of the characterizations that they, different writers interpret characters different ways. I mean, that's kind of the trouble sometimes, a new writer or someone will come on and just kind of just start changing all kinds of shit up, and you're just like, whoa, I've been reading this guy a long time. Like this just doesn't seem true to the character. Like, he wouldn't do this basically. So, I mean, some of it you just gotta roll with it, I guess.
And I think that's why I'm getting so much enjoyment out of reading these Defenders issues. Is it's true bullpen. It's all these characters. If I go and read something else, it's going to match up perfectly with this.
And what's cool about the Defenders too, though, right? Like, it wasn't getting the superstar creators. I mean, at least like later on at this point. I mean, it was like, I think Steve Gerber was writing some of the issues before he was kind of a bigger writer. Bill Mantlo, I think, was writing some of it before he kind of became a more high profile writer. So it was just kind of like a mishmash. I know these issues, which I know Michelle probably liked these books. I'm sure she has them, but 47 to 50 is like has Moon Knight in them.
Yep.
And I know that these books, some of them have some very early Keith Giffen art, who's not really known as a I think of him as a DC guy myself, but but anyway, some of these issues actually, I gotta find the issue because it's got a great one of these issues has a tremendous splash page of Moon Knight. So let's see which one it is. So this is number 48. Nope, it's not that one. But if you look at the style, right? So this is the Keith Giffen art. Very, very Kirby-esque, like he's channeling. Like you can tell he's kind of trying to ape that style a little bit. So let's see. It has to be 49 then, I think. But anyway, this was just another weird kind of. So Hellcat was on the team at this point.
Yep.
Moon Knight is crossing over. I don't know if he was officially like a member, quote unquote, but there it is. That's very Kirby-esque splash page of Moon Knight.
Oh yeah.
But it's definitely like a cool visual, to see. So I mean, at this point, Moon Knight was definitely like a small kind of a bit character, but I mean, there's no mistaking that style. It's definitely like a combination of like a Steranko and like a Kirby style.
Yeah, and actually, so you look at like find it there, like this Hulk here.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely channeling kind of like a Silver Age kind of style, and those issues are pretty cool. Late 90s and early 100 Hellstrom. Yep. Yeah. I don't know if that was the splash I just showed Michelle. Let me see. She said Macy's Day Parade float. I'm thinking that must be the one. But anyway, it's definitely. I love the style and just to see kind of like a Kirby-esque take on kind of Moon Knight. Yeah, that's the one. Cool. Yeah, the art is just definitely And so this was written by David Kraft. I know he goes on to write a bunch of these Defenders issues.
No,
he had a pretty lengthy run on this series. But yeah, this art is definitely dope, man. I like
he
that
just
kind of
recently passed.
Steranko Kirby. Yeah, he
David
did. Yeah,
Anthony Kraft. Yeah.
he did.
Yeah. He also wrote well he produced Comics Interview, which was
Oh, okay.
it was David Anthony
Hmm.
Kraft's Comics Interview, and that was his big thing, interviewing, and that's again one of those early ways for people to discover other books out there and what else is going on before the internet.
Yeah,
I,
exactly. That's how we used to do it.
I love hunting those down because you find these great interviews with artists and writers. You find
I wouldn't doubt that, Michelle. I wouldn't
yeah,
doubt that.
him and Steranko, they're probably best friends. Uh,
Well,
no, you learn so much from
man,
those
well,
books,
you
though.
know.
Little tidbits that have been lost to the sands of time.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just cool back then. You had these kind of writers, and they were definitely whether they were experimenting, whether they were experimenting or not. Some of them kind of admitted it. I remember reading something about the Doctor Strange that Engelhardt and Brunner was working on. He basically was yeah, basically we'd smoke a joint and start to break down, what we're gonna do next month. I kind of definitely had that psychedelic kind of style, but it was early '70s. They lived in New York, so they were pretty much like, this is the way.
Yeah.
So I know someone mentioned issues in the '90s or to the 100. So I have issue 94 again is like I guess if you're as far as defenders quote unquote keys go, this is the first appearance of Gargoyle, who goes on to become a team pretty much from here on to the end of the series at 152.
I remember when I bought
They
that.
definitely had some wild stories with like Hellstrom and Satan, and it was crazy stuff.
I remember when I bought that issue. So I got a bulk of these, the later half of the run from a local comic shop. They were doing a half off sale. And most of the books were $3 to begin with. So I was buying them anywhere from $1 to $1.50. And then I came across that one, and it's just this random cover, and I'm going, why is this one $8? I got home and I looked it up. Hey, I bought it for the $4. I got home and I looked it up, and I went, it's really sad that Gargoyle's only an $8 comic book.
I know. He's a pretty cool character, I guess. I mean, he just, I'm curious now who the writer was of this issue. So this was J.M. DeMatteis. So they, like I said, they kind of had some, I guess, people who went on to become kind of bigger creators. But when they were working on this title, they were kind of like, like this was almost like the trial book to kind of.
I wouldn't be surprised. You'd probably find some information.
Actually,
somewhere.
you probably well, you probably know this, but you probably like this. This issue was drawn by none other than Don Perlin, who I think did the Ghost Rider issue.
Yes,
So,
a lot of Ghost Rider.
Yeah. So and some Werewolf by Night, I believe he drew some.
He did a lot of supernatural books also, but yes,
he did. Exactly. It seemed like all the guys who did that kind of stuff, they always. I don't have. Do you have issue 92? That does have a great Eternity cover.
Yeah.
Nice, Michelle. Yeah, that is dope cover. So it's almost like a homage of the Doctor Strange. 180, I think it is.
Yes. Yep.
The all white background with like the big Eternity image. That's pretty dope.
A piece of Eternity is missing.
So that's what I mean. The Defenders, I mean, you could get the Wrecking Crew or you could get Eternity, They were definitely
whatever needed to be done.
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of the all team ready for all kind of situations, so to speak. But they were still kind of, like Scheme and like kind of we mentioned earlier, they were definitely still like a lower, like you just didn't consider them like A-list, even though they kind of had A-list. They were like one of those I'm a big sports fan, so they're like one of those teams with the A-list talent, but it just doesn't manifest on the court. They're kind of like one of those teams. They're kind of like the Brooklyn Nets this year, basically.
It's nice to see. They've what's the word I'm looking for? They've appreciated well. all these years later, these from what I've read so far and stories I remember reading in the past, it still just tells a great story. They're not stuck in their time. They they're still a fun read. They're worth hunting down and enjoying.
Oh, definitely, no doubt. It's pure, especially like the kind of the early issues we were kind of talking about. They definitely just got that like Bronze Age vibe. It's just like
Yeah,
if you want to read like Bronze Age Marvel, you read some early Defenders. Like that's, I feel like all that kind of like, especially the stuff with the supernatural kind of tone to it. If you read Tomb of Dracula from back then, read the Defenders, read Doctor Strange,
yeah,
Marvel Spotlight with Ghost Rider. Like if you read all those books, they all have like that. They kind of just got that vibe. You just want
yeah,
to like grab a blanket and just make a cup of tea and just fucking start
yeah.
reading. It's just got that vibe.
I started reading over the weekend, and I just sat in my comic book room and just enjoyed it was time stopped, and you really just get drawn into this world, and it's you can see elements of the time, but at the
Mm.
same time they're definitely timeless in the sense that anybody can enjoy this without any prior knowledge. uh, they're
Yeah, you can kind of
fantastic.
jump right in and read it. I mean, because it does have the high profile. Like everybody knows Hulk.
Yeah,
I mean, not everybody might know Submariner, but mostly everybody knows, Doctor Strange, kind of
yeah,
those cat, at least in the comic kind of sense. So
yeah.
you kind of had a rough general knowledge of it, and then you start reading it, and it's just, all this kind of crazy stuff happening. But it's easy to kind of pick up.
Yeah. And they're also there. I mean, out of this entire series, at least the issues 1 through 152. I think just issue one is probably the most expensive. I got my copy for $80.
Yeah,
Uh,
overall, series wise, it's like you said, you found a bunch for $3 or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
those are definitely like not. That's kind of like most of the runners like that, to be honest. Like you say, one I know, like, so obviously that Wrecking Crew issue is yeah, we're gonna get into New Defenders in a moment, my brother. Um the number one, number four, this issue obviously kind of blew up recently. And I see Professor and Michelle, they kind of talk about, so number 10 with the Thor and Hulk kind of throw down. This book can be a little pricey, but
yeah,
overall, once you get beyond like the first 5-10 issues, the whole rest of the run is pretty cheap. I mean, it's
yeah.
pretty it's definitely.
I would have to
Yeah,
measure
and the
it.
feature issues can be expensive a little bit too, but overall, it's a really affordable series. There's really no spec, no keys, no bullshit. It's just a cool series to read and collect.
Yeah, with great art and great writers. Uh,
Hmm.
the book constantly had it. While they might that while the artists and writers might have been unknown for the time, they're all well known today. They're I don't think
Yeah,
anybody worked on this book that was subpar.
no, like I said, I felt like it was kind of like the Marvel's guinea pig a little bit. They were kind of letting some of these younger creators or unknown creators kind of work
Yeah,
on their craft and their skills, kind of. And then, like I said, J.M. DeMatteis, he's a great writer, but
yeah,
this is kind of some of his earlier work, or some of the artists that kind of drew the series. You didn't really know who they were when they were on Defenders, and later on they
yeah,
kind of became a bigger deal. But
yeah,
um, so this is one of those covers right there. So this is when, I mean, we can go back to some of the other issues and stuff, but just because they kind of mention it right here. But so this right here is one of those. I'm almost positive it's one of the Bill Sienkiewicz covers. But the series took a pretty drastic turn at this point. It became the New Defenders, and obviously, once again, people know I'm a big X-Men fan. If you look at this roster, it actually has three of the OG X-Men on it. It's got Beast, Angel, and Iceman.
yeah,
So from this point to the end at 152 is definitely kind of some wild stuff. It definitely like a weird kind of team, and it still has Valkyrie. It has Gargoyle
yep,
introduced in '94. We're talking about, but Moondragon. and then the X-Men, the kind of OG X-Men characters. So it's definitely a weird kind of mix, but the covers are awesome. It does have a great, between the Nolan and the Sienkiewicz covers, they definitely a great stretch.
See, I'm hoping to read that Angel and Iceman missed their days as champions and just felt the need to be on a strange B team again.
I guess, right? But the real funny thing is when this series ends, so Marvel kind of had a lot going on, but for those who know, again, this is not spoilers. All these books are like 30, 40, 50 years old. But
Yeah.
so X Factor 1 comes out like the month after Defenders ends, 152.
Really?
So Marvel kind of had to wrap shit up pretty quick to get these three characters ready to be in X Factor. So it was kind of like I don't want to say they rushed it, but it was kind of like they were up against a pretty tight deadline.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm curious to see. Oh, this is forget it. This is not the last issue. I'm losing my mind. I thought this was 150. Do you have 152?
I do. It's downstairs. I can grab it.
I was just curious what if it said in there, like, catch Beast, Iceman, and Angel next month in X Factor or something.
So here, give me a second. I'll be right back. Let me just grab it.
So this is still J.M. DeMatteis. So wow, he was on. He had a pretty lengthy run on here. So this team looks like it's still basically, it's looks like we got Hulk. This kind of the OGs are back. Well, actually, you know what? They're probably showing that picture to just foreshadow that they're going to have a new team at the end of this issue. But this it's definitely kind of a weird kind of mix of characters. But as an X-Men fan, this is just about the time I started buying Defenders as a kid. These covers when I saw them on the rack were definitely they were definitely like, oh, cool, wow, this is a cool book. And I was an X-Men fan at this point, but obviously the new team, the team I was a fan of didn't have any of these characters on it. So to see some of these guys, some of the OGs showing up in the Defenders, I thought was pretty cool, yeah, so that was definitely great, no doubt about it. So yeah, it's just a cool it's a cool end of the series, but they did kind of have to like go pretty quick at the end because, like I said, X Factor was coming out like the next month, I think, or something.
There was a lot of these. There's a lot of these painted covers. I don't know who did
great
that.
Covers.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's one of the Nolan ones or what number is that?
130.
Defenders 130. It might be Sienkiewicz in that one.
There's a little box with an FC in it.
FC. Let's see what is that. All right, so yeah, it says cover is by a Frank Sirocco, which I can confess to have never hearing of before, but definitely a dope cover. That looks like Nolan. Yeah.
That's very stylized, but it really fits the book.
And you're talking, this is like mid 80s too at this point, so that kind of style was starting to be more a little more prevalent.
Another one of those painted covers.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Let's see. I was looking.
I've noticed you have a very interesting shirt on tonight, so.
That's the guy.
I'm sure John would approve of that.
Yeah, I finally figured out where to get it, and I was just click that buy right away. I was talking before. That's so.
Oh yeah, so Leroy is saying they have a classified top secret X Factor preview on the last page of that 152. Okay. All right, so I knew I had the timeline more or less. Was like I just remember like, wow, they really had to like kind of wrap this up, and then they were pretty much shuffled off to X Factor 1, which is a great issue, by the way.
So this is Johnny Blaze and Roxanne Simpson.
Oh, that's that issue you're talking about. That's cool. What number is that one? That's almost at the end, or
145.
Cool.
So, and there's Angel flying. But that's it. It's just Johnny Blaze, and I forget why he shows up.
JD, what's up, my brother? Yeah, that's kind of a random Blaze appearance at that point, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it was what, like 1982 or 83? Well, no, it would have been later than that, 84, 85.
That book, yeah, around then. I was always curious though. So Ghost Rider number 81 came out in when?
1983, June of 1983. I
Hmm,
know that
so
that was the month and year I was born, and I always thought that was weird.
that's some symmetry to that. So that would explain, I guess, why. Oh yeah, top secret X Factor. All right, cool. So I kind of was more or less on point, I guess. So that's pretty cool though. But again, that goes to like that continuity thing. It wasn't like they just showed up in X Factor and you didn't know where they'd been or what was going on. They kind of built it into the story a little bit. So
Yeah,
it's definitely cool.
yeah, I can see there they are. You got Beast and Iceman and Angel,
Oh
and
yeah,
like the rest of the Defenders
youngsters. I'm
disintegrated.
not a youngster, John. I'm old. I'll be 50 in July, so I'm not no youngster here. But yeah, that was so that's cool though. That I always wondered. So Blaze, like basically at the end of that, I guess obviously he shows up in this Defenders issue, but then does he not show up again until like the Catch series? Was it number 14 or 13 or
Yeah,
something?
issue 13. I want to say he made one other random appearance too. Um,
No.
it could have been in a flashback or something in another book. But that was the last time he appeared as anything really,
Hmm.
from the
Until
80s,
the
the
90s,
mid-80s
basically.
up until the 90s.
Wow.
He didn't get his powers back until 2001.
Yeah,
So
when he first came back, he was 58. It's all right, John. 58.
yeah,
58's the new 40, so you'd be good. The what were we saying? The so yeah, when he first came back in the Catch series, he kind of just had like that shotgun, and he was kind of more just like that typical '90s kind of gritty badass with like a
yeah.
rifle or whatever. He wasn't really like he didn't have any powers, I don't believe, at that point.
He did, but he didn't. It depends on what part you're talking about, but at a certain point, like he's filled with hellfire.
Well, I
Like,
know. So then they came out with the series, the Spirits of Vengeance. Did he have powers in that series? I don't recall. I mean, I bought that stuff when it was coming out, but I don't
not
remember.
really. He was. It was more, his cycling ability and his wits.
Yeah.
But he had his shotgun. Later on, it gets ruined, but at the time, we'll stick to at the time. His shotgun was more just him channeling hellfire.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We're all
Nice.
still 15 inside, right?
So yeah, he basically he channeled his hellfire through the shotgun. He didn't
Cool.
really need the shotgun, but that was just kind of his magic wand.
I remember the kind of famous FF villain, the Molecule Man. He's kind of like that.
No,
They when he was early on in his appearances, he kind of had to. They kind of made it appear like he believed he needed this magic wand to manifest his power, but he really didn't.
yeah,
He was so much more powerful than he believed, but he thought he needed the magic wand. So
yeah.
I think that's actually how the FF defeat him. They they take his magic wand away. So yeah, now some of these characters they got these kind of, or well, I guess even like Gambit, he charges the throwing cards. I mean, he could technically charge anything up with his
Yeah,
powers, but
yeah.
or Bishop, he the kinetic energy he absorbs, he releases it like a rifle or something. So yeah, they definitely all have different
Cyclops
different
with his
ways.
lameness,
Yeah, yeah, he can't help
Omega
that.
level lame.
Yeah, it's always funny when I watch the X-Men. I don't even get started on fucking shitty X-Men movies, but like when he's got like his visor, like in the comics when he's civilian, he's just got fucking ruby glasses on.
No.
For whatever reason, in these friggin' movies, they make him wear his like visor. Like in the first X-Men movie, when he goes to the train station,
Yeah.
and he's got a baseball cap on with like his full Cyclops visor, and it's like
Who's
it
that
gets
guy?
knocked off. Yeah, it gets knocked off, and then he can't do anything. I don't know,
Yeah.
just like a silly.
So
Somebody
that's
wasn't doing it.
not to derail the subject at hand here, but having an X-Men fan on hand, I never understood how Cyclops, with his power, it's a force blast. So he shoots it out and it pushes things. Well, what if the thing he hits it with doesn't move? Wouldn't that kind of like
Ricochet back off into him.
or like there would be so much force between what he already shot out and
It would
it
shoot him
dialing
back.
up from what he's shooting, so it would like start to push his head back, and like
I
that
mean,
was always
there are
my
not too many times I can picture where he encounters something that he I'm sure they did it somewhere where he was shooting Juggernaut and Juggernaut just kept moving forward because nothing could stop him, and he just kind of closed the gap,
yeah.
or stuff like that. But it's really not too many times where he was kind of shooting something that didn't like fall, or it's pretty powerful. So
No,
I mean,
I
yeah, I mean the whole thing where he shuts his eyes, it goes away. I mean,
it's a
he's a
comic.
little hokey, but yeah, exactly. I mean, guy was created. He was created to say a physics lesson. Exactly.
Listen,
Well,
if you've got a favorite character, you got to try to downplay other people's
mm.
characters, But then
Yeah,
again,
I
I
mean,
don't think
I love the X-Men. Cyclops is not one of my faves. So, I mean, he's honestly speaking, the original team other than Beast, Hank McCoy, Beast is one of my favorites. But
no.
other than that, I mean, the rest of the original members, I don't really have any affinity to. The X-Men I love are from Giant Size X-Men 1 up.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so as far as titles go, Marvel, all the great classic Silver Age stuff they have, none of that is the X-Men. That was probably their worst like title. It was the one that stayed bi-monthly the longest because it probably didn't sell well. They had just struggled to keep a good creative team. And then right at the end, before it went to reprints, they got Roy Thomas and Neil Adams. But by that point,
yeah,
I guess it was too late. Too
yeah,
late to save the title, and it went to the reprints. But anyway, so I'm a fan of those guys up, not so much
yeah,
Cyclops and
yeah,
those guys. Angel, I mean, what does he do? He flies. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
how did Ghost Rider see anything with no eyeballs?
Magic,
Ah, I'm
magic,
coming back at you here.
magic.
Like a
With his
magic skull.
pen and stare.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody thinks that's his only power.
Hmm.
Well,
Well, it's
could he give him the pen and stare? He could wrap him up with his chain and drag him all over, all over the
mhm.
land.
Oh, I was going to ask you to show that, because I don't have it, but I remember the cover. I used to have the book. Defenders 33. Is that the one with her name's Ruby? I think she got the just red ball for her head.
Yeah, Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah, she showed up in the Wolverine Origin series, like, 10 years ago or 12 years ago or whatever. But I hadn't seen her since that Defender story. So I was like, wow, who thought to dig this character up?
Well,
Yeah.
my actually the first time I read about Ruby Tuesday was Heroes for Hire,
Mm.
the 2005 series, 2006.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. They have is it the Michael Linsner covers?
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
Joseph, Joseph Michael Linsner.
Joseph Michael. Yeah, it tied
Yeah,
into Civil War, I think that series.
yeah. It started off that way with you had Colleen Wing and Misty Knight,
Mhm.
along with a couple. It was a gal named Tarantula, a couple other people,
Mhm.
Humbug. But yeah, Ruby Tuesday was the bad guy through the bulk of it. It does,
That cover was always. I mean, I always loved the cover. I think it's Gil Kane, but the just when looking inside, that character was just such like a weird. The only thing I could compare it to, which was what made me think of it just now, because we were talking about Ghost Rider, made me think of the Orb,
yeah, yeah.
who I know was kind of famously, infamously brought back in the original Sin miniseries.
So as far as that goes, Jason Aaron likes to appropriate things, and he
Was
used the
original
orb.
Sin, was that him?
Yeah. Well, it's not the same orb. It's a new.
No, but I mean that series. That was Jason Aaron. I remember buying it, and I just thought it was awful. But
Yeah. If anybody's wondering, yes, I hate Jason Aaron. I can't stand him. I think he's one of the worst
I
writers of all
feel
time.
like he's overrated myself. Yeah, he did a few good issues. Actually, the Wolverine Weapon X series he did 1 to 14 or 1 to 16 with the Ron Garnier, who I know you've
Yeah.
met a few times.
Yeah.
That series was actually pretty good. But
Yeah.
overall, yeah, he's definitely more miss than hit for me.
Yeah. He's got a writing style where he likes to take a character and recreate it into his own thing, and make the characters his, make it original. And I find it insulting, the fact that you took somebody else's creation and tried to, you didn't update it. You didn't expand upon it. You just
Mhm.
recreated it into your own thing. And
Yep.
I find that insulting to previous creators. Um,
Yeah, no, it's definitely true. I mean, I know I read something one time where I guess whoever killed so the original White Tiger died. I'm not recalling all the facts correctly. I feel like it was Bendis, but he actually reached out to George Perez because that was one of his creations, and like basically ran it by him first, like
yeah,
what's and I guess to get his blessing, so to speak. He didn't
yeah,
want to just start like fucking with this character that he invested in and created.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's definitely cool to just kind of start completely dismantling and changing some
yeah,
character that someone else created just so you can come up with some,
yeah,
in my opinion, usually corny story is
yeah.
not too cool. But
He had a tendency to do that for several years, and he did it to Ghost Rider, and that was I obviously I took that very personally. Um,
yeah, I bet.
but he basically ran through Howard Mackey's run in about 2 issues, and like you said, dismantled it. Just kind of destroyed his rogues gallery. And just took apart the whole story
Mm.
so he could write an issue. Um,
Yeah, basically just undoing years of continuity and characterization just for a
yeah,
quick, brief little laugh or
yeah,
something. I don't know. Sometimes you read these stories and sometimes you get a writer who, especially Bendis, because he liked to always have that kind of that snappy patter, the jokes back. Sometimes
yeah,
like it didn't really fit with the character to me. Like I don't picture
yeah.
this character joking that much.
At least
Like Doctor Strange is one of those characters to me. I don't picture him being very like funny or joking.
no, no. And that's I saw bits and pieces of the first Doctor Strange movie, and there was I had troubles with that with Doctor Strange being as witty as he was.
Mm.
He's
Yeah,
always
because in the comics he was always pretty. He was all pretty. He was wound pretty tight. He
yeah,
wasn't like he wasn't the kind to be joking and acting stupid. I
no,
mean, he's got a lot on his plate.
yeah,
He's basically fighting off at all times. He's protecting our realm or universe, whatever they call
yeah.
it now. But all kind of demonic and demons and interdimensional. I mean, he's just got a lot going on. He doesn't have time to like
The guy,
bullshit and
yeah, like
joke.
he's got a lot on his plate. He's got a lot on his shoulders. And at best, you maybe at the end of an issue, he would make a comment. Uh, but
Yeah,
I always like going along for the adventure with Doctor Strange.
yeah,
Which
no
is,
doubt. And he's
to
kind of like a quintessential defender, right? I mean, if you think of the defender, like I read these were coming out when I was a kid.
yeah,
This is not the defenders to me.
yeah,
The defenders is, these guys are the defenders. This
yeah,
this is the OG lineup.
yeah,
These are the guys that they work this series while again all kind of individual kind of characters and in their own right. They came together and formed a pretty badass team, to be honest.
absolutely, absolutely. It's like I said. So far, what I'm reading, and really absorbing it, taking it in. It's there's a lot to it. It's a fun classic Marvel adventure. There's
Mhm.
so much you can get out of it from the story and the art. Starting with Roy Thomas and now moving into Steve Englehart. Uh,
And
it,
definitely a very supernatural feel, the early
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Definitely like fits right with all that kind of material that was at that point.
Uh, no,
Yeah,
I cannot
no
wait to
doubt.
get farther into the series and see where it
Yeah,
goes.
man, you kind of inspired me now. That's a pretty epic run you got. I gotta at least get like the first 50 in a row. I mean, like I
Uh,
said, I got a bunch of issues, but so I think at Terrificon that might be my mission to track some of these down.
uh,
Which I'm assuming you'll be at Terrificon, right?
of course, of course.
All
I'll
right.
be there all 3 days.
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
be there for the weekend, so we'll definitely be linking up anyway.
uh,
But
no, we're staying
that should.
staying right there at the upstairs at the
Oh yeah,
hotel.
yeah. That's what I did. I just got the room for the weekend just to make it easy. I don't have to leave. I don't have to go anywhere. I show up Friday and I'm not leaving until Sunday. So,
Uh,
it's definitely be a good weekend.
uh,
But yeah, I will have to. I guess I'll be fighting you for some of these. But it seems like you got most of the run. So,
well, I got the whole run. All I got left. I need
oh,
two
speaking of that,
Submariners.
I forgot to show this off. This is a
Yeah,
very nice copy I found at last year's Terrificon of this
nice.
Defender's Treasury, which this is actually. You know what? Now I'm curious. I know it's reprints, but
The centerfold is a Doctor Strange poster.
On this,
Yeah,
let's see. Oh, the back cover's badass. Look at that shit.
yeah.
Speaking of strange being kind of weird, I don't know what this weird face he's got going the wrong way and backwards.
Yeah, it's a little
Kind of
menacing.
weird little smirk, but all right. So let's see. We're looking for a Doctor Strange. Am I in the middle here? I feel like I'm
So
past
my
the
local
middle.
shop, my shop right up the street from me, they had a copy of that, and I was all excited. I was about to pick it up, and I took it out to look at it, and there was a Doctor Strange poster taped back to it was 2 full pages taped together with some scotch tape and stuffed in the middle of the book. And oh man,
Oh,
so
that sucks.
I just assumed somebody ripped it out of the center of the book and then put it back in it. So I'm like, I'll wait for another copy.
Yeah, this one's just a real. I mean, it's just unusual to find these treasuries in nice shape. This one's pretty clean. It's pretty. It's very white. I know Morbius was. He was a little envious when I found this. I know he's got a pretty extensive treasury collection, but I think this is one of the ones he needed.
They're tough to find because a lot of I mean
They are, no doubt.
dealers just don't even bring them to shows.
They're just awkward. They don't fit in boxes. They didn't make bags and boards for them back in the day, so they're tough to kind of just store. And it's just a unique kind of book.
No, I
No
keep
doubt.
mine on a bookshelf laying flat because
Yeah, that's all mine. I at this point I probably got like 10 treasuries, but yeah, I just have them in a stack on top of some boxes. So we'll work on that some other point. But I mean, it's pretty much as far as the run. I mean, obviously that was a very brief kind of just overview of a lot of the more or less issues. Some of the issues we liked, or some of the more defining kind of moments and key issues. This is a funny story though. The two with the X-Men and Big Head. I think it's Mutant Alpha, I believe, is the name of this big head guy. Yeah, it reminds me of one of those. Isn't there an issue of Flash, a DC comic, where he's got like a huge head on the cover? I feel like I've seen something like that.
Yeah,
before.
yeah, I think I've seen that talked about.
Yeah, I'll definitely see you there, John. No doubt.
Absolutely, John. There's some of the books from this have some zany covers, and I'm looking forward to getting to those issues. Just definitely. To see what kind of antics it gets up to, and see where it takes itself. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about the Defenders, that it was awful or don't bother reading it. It's a waste of time. Everybody just enjoyed it.
They just didn't get like they didn't get like the high profile, like Wolverine never was a defender, I guess he was a secret defender in the 90s, but you know what I'm saying? They didn't get like the A-list kind of no Spider-Man, no, it was Valkyrie and Gargoyle and Doctor Strange at that point. I mean, even today, but at that point he wasn't like an A-list. I guess Hulk was probably their most A-list character, but yeah, they just were kind of just like below the radar. But like you said, no one ever really says like, "Oh, that series sucked." Maybe towards the end, some people didn't like it, but that first 1 to 100 or whatever it's all just solid stuff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, by the time I'm done, I if it keeps going from the way it's been going, at least from what I've read so far, I'll wind up being the torchbearer for the Defenders and recommending everybody to pick it up.
Yeah, no, I definitely got to work on it. I got to work on my run, no doubt.
No,
but
I'll help you find
it. Yeah, no, definitely. I'll be on the hunt. I mean, locally, the shops around my way don't have too much in the way of Defenders, so I'll definitely. It's not shit I'd want to order online because I feel like overpaying. I feel like if I keep hunting like you locally, I'll catch like Thanks, Leroy. I'll catch you after, brother. I feel like you, if I just keep kind of hunting, I'll eventually just find like a bunch, for like a good deal, without overpaying these crazy prices. But
hey, the market seems to be turning a little bit.
A little bit. You are correct. There's still hope for us real collectors, I guess.
A couple collections have showed up at my shop a little faster than typically.
Thanks, JD.
So I was happy to see some collections show up in what's going on? People getting rid of their collections. Is it turning? Is it my turn? Is it my turn?
Let's hope. We can only hope, man. We can only hope. I can finally start getting some books I want again without paying 5 times the value.
Yeah.
Because they're going to show up in some stupid TV show or something. That
that
has
has
nothing to
nothing to
do
do
with
with it.
comics. I have no idea what the connection is between like, oh, this guy's gonna be in a show. His
No,
comic book shoots up fucking 10, 100% or something. Makes no sense. But anyway, that's a whole other show.
yeah,
We'll
no,
save
that,
we'll save that one for next time, I guess.
yeah,
But hey, man, I appreciate you jumping on with me, brother. I've been kind
absolutely.
of
It's been wonderful,
playing this a
wonderful
little
talking with
bit,
you.
so I will have something else maybe for next week. There's plenty
Yes.
of series out there to kind of work on and kind of see what we got. So
Well, if you'll have me back for anything, I'd love
uh,
to talk
no
books with
doubt,
you.
brother. Man,
Um,
I love catching guys with you and defenders breakdowns, huh? Maybe I'll check it out.
yeah,
I know Steve. I know John Semino is kind of Roy Thomas's right hand man, so I'm sure he's got some inside defenders information, no doubt. This is more from a collector's perspective, I guess, just some guys who read the books and like to collect them. But anyway, man, yeah, no, I definitely appreciate you jumping in with me, and appreciate everybody that was catching it in the chat and watched the show, who catch the replay. You know, I appreciate it. Just a humble collective, just trying to find like-minded people like Sove and other guys, Leroy and the rest of you guys out there who just
absolutely.
want to talk about the books, man. No spec, no bullshit.
Yeah.
We just collectors over here.
It's all about what's inside.
Exactly. On
Yes.
that note, I'm gonna go get ready. My Celtics are coming on in a little bit. NBA
Good luck
Finals.
today.
Go Celtics. And I'll catch you next time. So
Have a good
peace,
evening.
everybody.